BLITZ, we have DeeDee Dillard, head coach of Rabun County. DeeDee, thank you so much, as always, for having me up here to talk about your team.
Yeah, love it when you come.
Yeah, I always get to enjoy talking about your team and your program. And last year, if we just rewind for a second,
Sure.
some people would say it's like kind of a down year for y'all when you look at the win-loss record. But even then, I wasn't surprised, but you still make an Elite Eight run, which just says a lot about this program and your ability to get the most out of your players. But what does last year's run do for this year's group?
Yeah, sure. I have a lot of people that ask me about last year. What was, how was it? What was it like? What was it going through? But honestly, I think I was more proud of that group than just about any group I've ever had, because they really had every chance to kind of quit and give up, but they didn't. They kept fighting. They kept believing in themselves and believing in each other and believing in our program and what we were trying to accomplish. And so I think more than anything, that kind of gave us some momentum going in to that, knowing that we found ways to win when people were doubting us and kind of questioning us. Living in a small town, the expectation of this program is very high year in and year out, and so kind of having to live up to that expectation and the conversations that were happening. So I think, for my younger kids, we only graduated 2 seniors. I think for them it was a learning experience. They brought a lot of that into this season. Just being able to fight through adversity and finding ways to win and understanding that it's not always going to be easy. So I think a lot of my young kids grew up, and they grew up fast, and they had to. And so I think we're seeing kind of the dividends pay off of that, this season. So that's been exciting to watch.
Yeah, and what was exciting to watch too was just your guard combo, Adeline Thompson, Addie Beth Owens, and we got to see a little bit of Addie Beth following under Lucy Hood the year prior,
Yes.
but to see the two of them last year just click, and then I love that they're just juniors now. But what makes this duo so special, and how much chemistry do they have on and off the court?
Yeah, I think that's an advantage of them kind of growing up together and playing together, for a long time. They know each other's tendencies. They know each other's strengths. They are, I think, confident enough that they can offer feedback and constructive criticism. I know there was a game last year that Adeline wasn't shooting as well as she wanted to, and Addie Beth was the one to hype her up and say, no, like, you are the best shooter. Like, you have to keep shooting. They're going to go in. And so I think they're able to feed off each other that way. And so, yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. And I think they each have a little bit of a different skill set, a little bit of different strengths, and that complement each other really well. There's no ego involved. I think that both of them want each other to be successful and understand that it takes both of them for us to run a smooth offense. And so I think it's just the buy-in to, wanting to win at all, no matter what the cost is, and understanding that both of them can contribute equally. And so just to see their relationship, it's been really fun.
Yeah, and still a lot to go,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
awesome. And then you've got your veteran seniors. You got Madison Houck. You got a handful of others, and then obviously the junior group. You got some freshmen and underclassmen in that sophomore freshman class that have a chance to make some noise. Who are some of those players that we can expect to kind of come on the radar this year?
Yeah, I think people saw a little bit of what Madison can do last year. She's a returning starter for us, and she's just so gritty and tough and does a little bit of everything. But we have a few more seniors. Conley Spivey, I think we had to move her from a guard spot down to more of a small forward, and that was a little bit of a learning curve for her last year. But she's really coming into her own. I think she's going to surprise some people. We got Hannah Beers coming in, shooting the ball well, and then Lauren Mazzarchi. She's been shooting the ball really, really well. And again, she was kind of the opposite. We had to take her from where she grew up playing a small forward and kind of then having to develop a guard skill set. And so that was, but she's really playing really confident. And then Chloe Shirley, our other senior, she's new to basketball, but man, she is such a great teammate, encourager, lover of all people. And then from our junior class, we have Morgan Lovell. She's really a sharpshooter, just getting her to develop some confidence, but she's going to be able to come in. She's really long and athletic, but getting her, she's a really good shooter, so hopefully we'll be able to, with, Addie Beth and Millie running that point guard, I think that's going to open her up for some. Out of our sophomore class, Jaden Cohey, she came out with a double-double Tuesday night against Seconder. She's been with us since 8th grade. She played JV as an 8th grader, so we expect big things from her. She kind of has a knack for finding the ball coming off the board, and she gets a lot of her points that way. And then on the varsity level, Millie is going to she's an immediate impact player for us. She can score, she can defend, she can handle the ball, very IQ, savvy with understanding what's going on. She's a freshman, she's still making freshman mistakes. But I think that will kind of lessen the pressure on Addie Beth and Adeline a lot. And then we have Cheyenne Queen, who is another freshman that's going to get some varsity minutes. We're really excited about her. We think she actually has the most upside of any of our young kids in terms of development and growth, just a natural athlete. So we're pretty excited about her too. Yeah.
Now I know that you have a knack for just being creative and how you help create the bond, because you can't force it, but you can always facilitate ways to make this team come together. And a lot of times y'all do special trips and activities, things like that. What's been some of those that you've had early on for this group that you've seen be successful?
Yeah, so I'm retired from teaching now, so I'm just coaching. I don't even know if I had told you that, but so I'm not on campus as much as I have been. So that being said, I've tried to be really intentional about getting the girls. I had the seniors come over Claude cooked them a steak, and we carved pumpkins, which they'll probably roll their eyes that I'm telling you that. But and then we had our juniors over last week and just sat around a campfire and roasted marshmallows and talked. And so I'm just really trying to create moments where, we're spending quality time together off the floor. We'll be doing that all year long, in addition to just some of the team activities that we do.
And then some with class
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So we're doing some as a whole group, and then we'll have our Christmas party coming up in December where they all spend the night at my house, and it's a lot of fun. So you'll have to ask them sometime about them getting caught walking on the roof of my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah. So you'll have to ask them about that next time.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And then tying into that, just every year you have a central theme, a message.
Sure.
What is the one that you came up for this year? I always love to hear the story of how you come up with these things, and then how the team sort of rallies around that.
Yeah, so this year our theme, it actually comes from the Hebrew word hineni, and it means here am I. And it really goes back to the scripture of Isaiah when God is asking, who shall I send? Who will go for us? And Isaiah steps forward boldly and says, here am I, send me. And so we talked about that. It was kind of interesting because I really started thinking about it in March, and I had a totally different word or theme. And then I would say probably early September, there was just a series of events that happened kind of personally in my life. And I just felt the Lord lay this on my heart, and I felt it very strongly. And it's been really, really cool to see the girls kind of embrace that, because it's really a mindset. We talked a lot about, you have to be bold in your commitment, but you also have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to surrender. It's a posture of just complete obedience and really doing what's best for other people, not necessarily yourself. And just in that moment with Isaiah, he didn't stop and ask and say, well, wait a minute, where are you sending me? Give me the details first. He just boldly stepped forward and said, no, here am I. Send me, I'll go, I'll do it. And so that's just the mindset that we're trying to create this year. Is we just want every kid in our team to be no, I'll do whatever the team needs me to do. No questions asked. We talk about doing it with your hands open, not closed, holding on to ego or, resentment or doubt or anything that would kind of keep you from stepping into that role. And they've really done a great job. I don't know if you saw their T-shirts that they were wearing. They designed those. They wanted to have that to wear at our shoot-arounds and things like that. So I have one for you too, by the way. And so yeah, that's our theme. And it's always interesting to me because it's not really the direction I was going. And but I really feel like it's been a good kind of central theme for us to kind of all embrace.
And that is awesome. And all that weaves into what goes on the court.
Yeah.
So to that point, what are the expectations, the goals that you have for this team, and what's the ceiling for the Lady Cats this year?
I think that we have a lot of room to grow still. We obviously came out and won our first game, which was different than last year. And so that was exciting. The girls were really excited about that. But, you know, we still have kind of that mindset. Like, look, we were 14-13 last year. We haven't earned anything yet. We still have a lot to prove. But one thing I love about this group is that they are okay with hard coaching. We've been conditioning a lot more this year, just understanding that this kind of pace that we're going to have to play at this year to be successful. And I mean, they don't love it, but you know, they understand. And so I think with that being said, you know, I feel like we are just at the very bottom of where we can be this year. Do I think we're in a position right this very moment to like win region and make a deep playoff run? No. But do I think that we have potential to get there? Absolutely. Like, absolutely. I think this group wants it. They have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, which I love. And they're playing really tough and gritty right now. So I think if we can maybe get our execution to the same level of the toughness and grittiness that we've seen, you know, then I think they have a chance to be pretty special.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I always love what you do with this program and just the way that you bring the team together, and it always shows out on the court. But thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Storyblocks